Hello, and welcome to the Monster Painter. This time I make a bunch of Stormcast Infernals. So this project will be a bit of kit bashing and some straightforward head swaps. I have some Stormcast Eternal Prosecutor Javelineers and a box of Stormcast Vanguard Hunters for the purpose. But why on earth am I taking on a project like this? And of course, the answer has nothing to do with Warhammer Age of Sigmar, a game I don't even play, and everything to do with my favorite game, Frostgrave. My monthly gaming group is currently working through the Red King campaign, which requires crossbow-wielding demons. In the last episode of the Monster Painter, I put together a North Star military Frostgrave demon kit that met most of these needs, but I still needed some flying demons with crossbows, so sparing no expense, I picked up some Stormcast Eternals for another round of demon building in order to complete this infernal bestiary. Alright, so what do we have then? I bought the box of Vanguard Hunters new, so I know that box is full of sprues. I bought the Prosecutor Javelineers secondhand at my favorite store, the Sword and Board, here in Toronto. They are a bit beaten up, which is fine, because I'm going to break them up a little bit more and turn them into Hrut Stingers. I have selected and clipped some bits out of the Vanguard Hunters kit. I have removed some extraneous bits from the Prosecutor Javelineers, and I have pinned those broken wings of the Javelineers. There is no way they would have stayed attached otherwise. Time to break out the plastic cement and transform these Wagnerian eternal warriors of the mighty Sigmar into the infernal soldiers of the diabolical Red King. It's not really much of a stretch if you think about it. And here are our prosecutors. With demonic heads and armed with crossbows, they are ready to be painted and fully transformed into Hrut Stingers. But what of the Vanguard Hunters? Well, I assembled all 10 of them and swapped out their heads for something more demonic. The build was a struggle and some of my assembly is less than ideal. However, there were enough crossbows to make 9 of the blokes into non-flying Hrut darters. The 10th model was equipped with one of the Prosecutor's shields and will act as a Hrut longhammer. Now, let's slap some paint on these villains and make them into proper devilmen. This demonic mob is painted up with the same infernal color scheme. They're all equipped in the same manner, and while they are covered in details, it is a more or less straightforward process. Nothing too challenging. Now, let's take a look at the vile entities in their final form. Stormcast Eternals are often called Sigmarines because they are servants of the god Sigmar, and their design is very reminiscent of Space Marines. The difference between a Space Marine and their evil counterparts, Chaos Space Marines, is often little more than bighorns on their helmet. So, I could not resist plunking a Chaos Space Marine head onto this Stormcast Eternal and creating a Chaos Sigmarine. It's a touch subversive and a lot of fun. This fellow is sporting a old Chaos Warrior head from Fantasy Battles for a similar effect. The Chaos Stormcast Eternals are described as the reforged souls of mighty mortal warriors made into immortal weapons in the service of the setting's principal deity, Sigmar. He sends them out to battle the minions of his rival deities in the endless conflict that is at the heart of Age of Sigmar. It's very over-the-top and very Wagnerian. I'm sure it's a lot of fun, but I prefer a more gritty game of wizards blasting away at each other. On to a proper demonic head swap. I love the Plague Bearer heads, so I gave this guy one. In Frostgrave, demons are described simply as extra-dimensional entities and include any beings from different dimensions or alternative planes of being or what have you. This is very in keeping with Frostgrave's miniature agnostic qualities, and it allows players full latitude when choosing a model to fulfill the role of demon. It also means that Stormcast Eternals, as described in the Age of Sigmar lore, fit very comfortably within the category of a demon. Now, with their demonic heads, the Stormcast Eternals are fitted for their new roles as Hruts. Hruts are described as having a widely varying variety of forms, unified by the commonality of wearing heavy plate armor. They are not of this dimension and not fully within it. As a result, when damaged in combat, they blink out of existence and reappear in a random direction about 6 inches away from where they were, at least 6 inches on the tabletop. This makes for a lot of chaotic fun and helps build the feeling of reality dissolving, which is at the heart of the Red King campaign. These fellows are intended to be Hrut darters specifically, which are described as being armed with crossbow-like weapons, and in this case the word "like" is doing some heavy lifting. The Vanguard Hunters are armed with the zaniest crossbows ever seen in a fantasy setting. I gave them a wooden kind of color scheme in an attempt to lessen their machine gun-like look. It's a damn good thing that demons are kooky, crazy kinds of creatures and are capable of pulling off this sort of wackadoodle bit of equipment. If a more conventional, normal-looking soldier was armed this way, I just don't think he would be a credible model. Now, this goon is holding what is described in the Sigmar lore as a cosmic compass, which kind of fits nicely into the Red King lore. You see, the Red King is a very powerful entity that has been imprisoned in a pocket dimension. In his efforts to escape this hell, he has acquired the so-called keys of Old Felstad. These keys are the precise coordinates for the location of Felstad within the pan-dimensional universe. He plans to merge his pocket dimension with the frozen city, dissolving reality and escaping his chains. As a result, a cosmic compass seems like the kind of thing he would equip his minions with. Of course, these blokes all came out of that Warhammer Age of Sigmar Stormcast Eternals Vanguard Hunter kit. That plus a handful of heads from my bit bin. It is a Games Workshop kit, and while there is no arguing with the quality and detail of these models, it certainly was not cheap. Clocking in at $80 Canadian, it is definitely a premium solution to the Hrut problem. The Northstar Military Frostgrave Demons kit is half the price and contains twice the number of models. Mind you, those models are a lot smaller and not as elaborately detailed or as dynamically posed as these ones, but they're still half the price. Half the price. Now, you might ask why I went to the trouble and expense of putting together these Hrut Demons, especially after I already built and painted the Northstar Military Demon kit. Well, one answer is madness. Sometimes I get going on a project and I overdo it. This is no different and not the first time. On the other hand, these are built for my monthly Frostgrave group, which has between 6 and 8 regular attendees. That means 2 tables, and that requires a whole lot of Hruts. So, anyway, that's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it. I have to say, this is quite a complex kit with a lot of options and a lot of variation. I admit assembly is not one of my favorite parts of the hobby, and while I nailed some of them, others not so much. Despite that, they did turn out well, but you know what is a lot more fun than a straightforward assembly with a wee little head swap for flavor? It's proper kit bashing! Oh yeah! And the kit bashing is going to start slow. After I used up 3 of the crossbows on the Stormcast Eternal Prosecutor Javelineers, which we will see in a moment, I came up one crossbow short for the Vanguard Hunters. I used one of the Javelineers' shields on this fellow and gave him a particularly disturbing head. Now he is ready to be a Hrut Longhammer, the heavy foot soldiers of the Red King. I think he is exceptionally well suited to the job. And we have finally arrived at the real purpose of this project. Flying demons with crossbows! They are built out of that bag of Stormcast Eternal Prosecutor Javelineers. Whew, GW never shies away from an overblown name. They were in rough shape, broken up and missing parts. I have attached the crossbows from the Vanguard Hunters kit and repaired all the other parts. I clipped out the heads. This one has been replaced with a particularly frightening maw. This Hrut Stinger sports a plague-bearer head and a frightful countenance. I have to say the Stormcast Eternals do make excellent demons. All it took to turn these angelical warriors into diabolic soldiers was a head swap and an infernal color scheme. That being said, what is a demon and what is an angel is often little more than a point of view and an opinion. And our final Hrut Stinger has been given a classic demon head from the North Star military kit. He and his brothers have truly become Stormcast Infernals, slaves of the Red King, entering the vanguard of an attempt to corrupt reality itself. They will look imposing on the tabletop as old Felstad's reality begins to crack into chaos. They will hunt down those wizards who dare defy their diabolical master. And fun will be had by all. And now on to the monster fight with one of the feature creatures, a Stormcast Infernal, a diabolic slave of the Red King, versus this hideous Hell Knight, a model from the old board game based off the evergreen video game Doom. Which Devilman Warlord will win? Only the dice can decide. And check out this beautiful new dice tray my buddy Dave made. Fantastic. Oh, well that result's both surprising and not surprising at all. Video game has defeated tabletop game, and the natural order of the universe has been maintained. We swing so far in the other direction, you might get the bends. Remember to like, subscribe, and ring the bell. Ring the bell!
Watching Les the Monster Painter.